All right, we got a couple things going on in the background here that I just got to speak to today. First of all, hi. It's great to see you. I'm Matt. This is the 10-Minute Bible Hour podcast. You probably knew that because of how your podcast player shows the name of the podcast you're listening to. But it's nice to have you here. Thank you for hanging out with me. And today we've got important things to do. We need to talk about Nehemiah chapter 6 and the little post-mortem evaluation to all the drama that has unfolded through the first 6 chapters that Nehemiah gives us now that the wall is built and it's done. But there's some things going on, so I'm just going to go through them right here in order. Thing number 1 you might notice, there's a pigeon. The pigeon has located the chimney, I guess. Maybe it's nesting in the chimney, and it's making pigeon sounds. It comes right down the chimney and into my basement where I record this. And so it's entirely possible that it's you and it's me. Did you hear it? That was it right there. And it's that pigeon. But what are you going to do? It's clear up there on the roof. The pigeon is going to be a part of things right now. Thing number 2, my voice is a mess. Why is my voice a mess? Because as I'm recording this, it is time for the first round of the NBA playoffs, and my cherished, beloved Denver Nuggets are playing the Los Angeles Lakers, who, in like a real-world sense, no bad blood whatsoever. I mean, they seem like nice people, and nice people root for all of the teams. So you can't actually hate anybody over sports. That's stupid. But in a sports way, I do not like the Los Angeles Lakers, and I would really love it if my team would win this playoff series against them. And last night they played a hotly contested game. It came down to the last shot. And Jamal Murray of my beloved Denver Nuggets buried that shot with no time left on the clock. Gigantic pile of teammates on top of him. The arena's going bonkers. And look, I know that every day, we do this every day together. Every day I have to get by this microphone and say things into it. So you try not to sound horrible, but my voice sounds horrible because I let out this blood-curdling scream of joy and elation when that ball passed clean through the rim and the net, and the Nuggets won. And then I went to say the next thing I was going to say to celebrate, and the voice was just gone. I wrecked it in one scream. It was absolutely amazing. God bless everybody, the Los Angeles Lakers and their fans included, but that was a really fun time for me. Thing number 3 that is going on in the background here today is that there's a printer running in the background because, you know what? I run a backup audio here. I'm just going to take you and show you. Switching to backup audio. Leaving the basement, we got a printer running upstairs because the lovely Camila, who helps me with all of the mailings, is working on getting the Matthew stickers out to everybody who supports the program. So I'm going up the stairs. Hey, buddy. Hi. Little guy's feeling sick, so he's home. Camila, just don't swear or say anything weird. They're recording the thing. I was explaining to people that you sent out the Matthew stickers.
I totally am.
Yeah, here, print one of those so I don't seem like a liar. Because I said there was a printer running in the background.
It just paused,
What?
So you're not a liar,
No,
but I have to wait for more labels to
people
generate.
are gonna think I'm
doing the international labels.
Nice.
And so I have to generate those, and then I'll get them printed.
Okay.
But all the others are ready to go.
And you made new stickers that have the cool little lightning bolt TMBH logo on it, which makes it look awesomer.
I did.
Yeah. Wait, you're alphabetical by first name?
Mm-hmm.
So we got Travis, Troy, Virginia, Wes, and Zach S. I mean, that's a Z, so we're getting real close to the end.
Yes.
Nice. Okay.
Well, they're done, except for the international. That's what I left.
Thank you for sending the things out.
You're very
And continue to print. And if people hear printing in the background, they'll just know it's because we're being industrious and we're sending out stickers. Yeah, so those are on the way. Sweet. Matthew stickers are on the way out, which I think is pretty rad. Looks like we're ready to slap some stamps on those. So there's just a lot going on. And then, also there's Bible stuff going on because this Nehemiah thing is the real deal. And there's a tangled web of things that you and I need to sort out here before our time today is done. So this is what we got. Nehemiah 6:15, pigeons and printers and sick kid walking around and all today. Here we go. So the wall was completed on the 25th of Elul in 52 days. Once again, high five, nice job. When all our enemies heard about this and all the surrounding nations saw it, our enemies lost their self-confidence because they realized that this work had been done with the help of our God. Those two sentences go together really neatly, don't they? Because to accomplish a project of this scale, as we've discussed at length, in 52 days is mind-boggling. To accomplish that against the backdrop of, at this time in history, the largest bureaucracy the world had ever seen is even more remarkable. And to accomplish this in a place where rival people groups have been established because they didn't get deported under Nebuchadnezzar 150 years before the events we're reading about in Nehemiah. And they had designs on building up their own things and making all of that big and awesome. And they're actively trying to thwart the building of this wall. So 52 days. It's just crazy. Well, what are outsiders going to make of that, right? I mean, there's other places in the Bible where outsiders look at remarkable things that occur, that accomplish, breaking the laws of time and space, and they look at it and they just can't help but say, okay, there's probably something to that. Maybe the most famous example is the centurion, one of the people who's actively putting Jesus to death. I mean, his job is to be part of the execution squad. And what does he say when he sees all the things that are going on surrounding the events of the crucifixion? I mean, he says, surely this man was the Son of God. I mean, wow, that's one of the most bold confessions of Christ that you get in the entire Bible. I mean, it took Peter being there for all the miracles and being poked and prodded at and asked again and again, yeah, but who do you say I am? Before Peter was able to make that observation, yet this outsider was able to make that observation just from seeing the events of the crucifixion. This isn't just a throwaway line. This isn't a postmortem on the whole event that we're getting from Nehemiah here, where he's like, we got it done in 52 days, and then that pretty much wrapped it up. Everybody saw it. They lost their nerve and their panache, and they didn't want to come and mess with us anymore because the wall was very impressive. No, it's that last little tag that makes this line, verse 16, important. They figured out that it had been done with the help of our God. And so on the one hand, it'd be easy to be like, that's the spike of the football. Now, see, your God's fake, this God's real. Okay, yeah, sure, there's that vibe to it. But also there's the vibe to this that is a central theme of the whole Old Testament, expressed by the prophets Isaiah and Zechariah and more. The idea that God's chosen people, according to the promise God made to Abraham, are not just going to be blessed by God, but they're going to be a blessing to the nations, and all the nations will be blessed through them. And so we're coming out of this time of turmoil and struggle and fighting and butting heads, but a whole bunch of these surrounding nations are looking at what happened with this amazing accomplishment, this remarkable project. And even though no overt miracle is recorded here, in the same way no overt miracle was recorded a generation earlier in the book describing the events surrounding Esther and Mordecai, even though there's no breaking of the laws of time and space that is evident to these outsiders, they're still competent people. They can look at this and say, something about that is different than how most events play out in our lives, in our world. There's something remarkable about that. And so in a way, what is happening here is we're seeing a little glimpse of Nehemiah participating in the fulfillment of this prophecy. The idea that God's chosen people doing God's chosen people things well, God's people doing God's valued things, God's people functioning in a way that is different than the values of the world, that is apparently a very powerful thing. And again, my mind goes to the words of Jesus of Nazareth, the main character, the central character of the Bible. And he, in that Sermon on the Mount, what does he say? Right at the front end, you're a salt and light, you're a preservative, you're an illuminating people. He's saying that the people who follow God in the world play a preserving and illuminating role in the world. That is right in keeping with the themes of the Old Testament. It's right in keeping with the promise to Abraham. It's right in keeping with all those prophets who imagined all of the kings coming to the throne of God, being taken by the hand and into the presence of God, and the outsiders and the foreigners learn who the one true God is, and eventually New Testament language here, all of the knees bow and all of the tongues confess that Jesus is Lord. And so this is just a tiny passing little note, and maybe Nehemiah here is just making a political observation, but in the grand scheme of the rest of the Bible, what we see here is more than a political observation. What we see here is one more little tidbit, one more little drop in the bucket of that theme, that motif of all of the nations observing God's relationship with his covenant people for better or for worse, and coming away with the conclusion, that might just be the one true God. That God might just be more powerful than our carved rocks that we worship, and that is exactly what we see happening here. Was there a softening of their hearts toward God at this time? Yeah, maybe not. Was there a healthy fear of the Lord that developed here among these outsiders? Yeah, maybe not. Even this not fully perfect display of unity in rallying behind the redemptive plan and the values of God stuff, it's not flawless, but even this pretty good display of unity from the Jewish people, the returning exiles, is enough to raise a lot of eyebrows from people around them who are like, how come they can pull together and get things like this done? We've been trying to build a temple under the leadership of Sanballat and his family for generations, and are probably going to continue to do this for generations. Are we ever actually going to do anything or achieve anything? We don't even have resistance. How come they were able to get this done? And the conclusion that apparently a bunch of people came to was because their God is behind them. Now, what have we been saying all along about Ezra and Nehemiah? What's their superpower? Okay, they maybe have a few superpowers, but one of them is they are people who are rooted in the story. They get the narrative, they get the chapters that have unfolded in the past, and they had a strong sense that this moment is part of God's plan too. This is real. Something is happening here. It all leads up to this. Ezra so believed he understood where they were at in the story that he was willing to travel with $250 million or whatever, completely unguarded across a bandit-infested highway for hundreds and hundreds, thousands even of miles. Nehemiah is so sure that he knows where he fits in the story and that God is guiding the whole story that he's willing to blow off every threat that comes his way. It's like, I can't come down doing an important work. What are you doing? You're saying things I understand it could get me killed, but you're making it up out of your own head. I think the project and the work here speaks for itself, paraphrases mine. These two guys had a sense of the story. They operated within the story. They thought that God was evidently in it. And this is kind of vindicating for their approach, because now even outsiders, even fans of the other team, the rival team, are looking at what happened and saying, yeah, there really is something to that. And I guess if this was the kind of program where at the end of every conversation we put a neat little bow on it and there's like some kind of life lesson or something, if it were that kind of program, I think the thing you would want to say after the conversation we just had is that sometimes it might feel like if you want the world to see the glory of God and the grace of God and to experience this great truth of the gospel and all of that kind of thing, that the way to do it is to get out there and get deep into the mud and savagely fight to make it happen. Maybe there's a time to fight. I don't know. But here's an example of somebody simply doing things well and handling their business well and unapologetically being like, well, this is for the glory of God and that's why I do these things. And if you're going to play that card, well, your thing better be really good. And Nehemiah's was, and that was enough. Looks like he didn't even actually engage in any of the fights. He just did kick butt work and did it in a very public way. And that apparently swayed a bunch of people who theoretically didn't agree with him to at least acknowledge, there's something remarkable about that. And it seems like the real God is behind what they're doing. Interesting. Thanks for hanging out with me and my shot voice and my pigeon and my sick kid and Camila and the printer noises. I'm going to go gargle some salt water and see if I can make it sound better tomorrow. All right, I'm Matt. This is a 10-Minute Bible Hour podcast. Let's do this again soon.